Now, in this latest episode, we are going to examine the tremendous automation that has occurred in linguistics relative to just 25, 30, 35 years ago. A lot of people don't notice this. It has become like the air we breathe. We would only notice it if it were gone. But it is now 100 times more efficient to look up the definitions of words, to correct one's grammar, to translate sentences between languages, etc., relative to before. Do you remember those old dictionaries that we used to have? Those were huge books, and when you wanted to look up the definition of a word, you had to go get that dictionary from your bookshelf. There was usually dust on top of it. Then you had to flip through that alphabetically to find a word and to see its meaning. Now you can do all of this through Google and other online resources, and therefore you can do it 100 times more efficiently, meaning that you can also do it much more often. Your vocabulary can rise much faster because it has become so much more accessible. I remember when I was in the 3rd grade, we were being taught how to use dictionaries, and these were full-fledged adult dictionaries. And the assistant librarian on this library pull cart brought 30 dictionaries, each of the same type, for each of us children to look at while the teacher teaches us. So the dictionaries were brought on the pull cart and were passed out to all the children. It was about 100 pounds worth of dictionaries. And then when the class was over, the dictionaries were taken back and put back on the pull cart and pulled back to the library. That is such an inefficient way of teaching that was normal for the time, but today would seem very, very archaic, because look at all of the things you can do just in Google in terms of definitions, access, usage of a word in sentences, and even sound that shows you how to pronounce it. Remember, in the old days, dictionaries had no sound in them. They had a pronunciation guide, and you had to know the difference between long vowels, short vowels, and things like that. And 1 year later, in the 4th grade, I noticed a scam, because even though everyone had full-size dictionaries both at home and in school, one of the books that parents had to buy for their children for the 4th grade was this little small version of a Webster's dictionary. So my parents bought it for me. And that dictionary was a complete scam, because at the beginning of the 4th grade, I came across a word, mortician, and I did not know what a mortician was. So I looked in that little dictionary that was bought for me for school, and in the definition of mortician, they had another word, undertaker. I didn't know what an undertaker was, so I looked up undertaker in the same dictionary, and it had no explanation of what an undertaker was. It only said mortician. So this fraudulent dictionary just created a non-explanatory loop that routed mortician to undertaker and undertaker to mortician without explaining what it was at all. That was graft designed to force parents to buy this dictionary for students, even though they already had another dictionary at home, just because this was in the required books list. And this was a Webster's abbreviated dictionary. So Webster's created this scam SKU just to extract more money from parents. Such a situation could never occur today, because today on the internet you can simply learn what a mortician or an undertaker is, and it won't even waste 1 second of your time. Versus this being a story I remember even 40 years later, because it was so blatantly fraudulent. And think about interlanguage dictionaries. Those were expensive because they were sold in very little volume, but people who wanted to learn languages had to have those. I had an English to Hindi dictionary, but also a separate book that was a Hindi to English dictionary, because one could only work in one direction, never the reverse, because it was in an alphabetical order relative to only the first of the 2 languages. An English to Spanish dictionary cannot really suffice as a Spanish to English dictionary, and vice versa. Now in Google Translate, you can do all of this so efficiently that you can go back and forth really, really fast between multiple languages. And if you're someone like me who speaks multiple languages, in my case about 6, you can play around with all of these very, very fast in Google itself and speed up your learning and pattern matching combinational recognition. But anyway, so many aspects of linguistics now 100 times faster, so your reading, writing, learning, spell checking, grammatical corrections, and language learning is also so much faster than before. This is something to be happy about, and an example of exceptional automation in the modern age. Thanks for watching.